Hey everybody, it's your buddy Beard Grizzly, and it's been a long time. I'll leave that point at that, however. With everything going on right now, namely the stopped production of new content in Destiny 2, I simply needed to reach out to those that are in pain. I can say I am also in pain, since Destiny was such a big part of my life, reaching thousands of people and finding plenty of friends among them, some of which I consider family now. I have this channel to attest to that, even if I haven't made anything Destiny related in some time. However, my pain is not directly connected to the loss, since I pushed away from it so long ago. I've already had my breakup and pushed away from this series. I needed to for my own mental health. Between seeing where the game was going, not enjoying the lore, the amount of retcons that could not be explained away with perspective shifts, I had plenty of reasons. They were mine and mine alone. I'm sorry if I let any of you down. The reasons are half as important as what came next, however. What did I do to get over the loss of Destiny? How did I personally move away from the franchise? Am I even really over it? Can that information help you? To the last, I don't know. I simply want to try. There's a lot of pain and hurt I've been seeing in the comment sections of videos, and videos that I haven't searched for that have just hit the algorithm like wildfire, or about as good as the broken system that is YouTube as wildfire can be. That very real pain resonates with me, since it was what I felt when I pushed away from a still actively developed game. I had to question, was I making the right choice for me? Am I overreacting like my brain likes to do? What about those that look for insights and want to experience the universe with my lens that I give it? It's not the same as what's happening now, where tens of thousands of players are being forced to never see new content for the game again. There's also the personal journey that I've had, which is hard to separate from the overall experience of the game itself, and the two are interconnected for me. My bias is pretty clear here, I think. I'm going to flash up the stages of grief for everyone to check, but know that that's not the point of this video. It's just to show that I think everyone can see that this is a very real piece of grief or mourning, and you have a right to do so. If you're just listening, the stages of grief are denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance, with an argument for a couple other additions that have been added over the years. If you reacted somehow to any of those, be it with a chuckle, a smirk, a bit of a cry, well, guess you can understand why I brought that up in the first place, and why I at least wanted to put it here and just say, hey, it's all good if you were feeling any of those. First and foremost, and something that I don't think is oftentimes allowed for in today's society, you need to grieve. You need to pick up your favorite Destiny items. You need to have one last romp, which I think Bungie is kind of supplying with the Monuments of Triumph coming up soon. You need to read through the lore again and find some favorite parts that will stick with you until you're asked what could be on your tombstone, and parts that you'll remember to take into the future to new experiences. Make no mistake, there will be others. They will not be the same. They may not switch the same levers for a long time, but there will be others. They may not be games, or at least video games. There's so much media out there to find, it's impossible to say what exactly clicks with every person. Tabletop has really picked up over the years. There's movies, books, plenty of series out there that you can dig into. Humans are nothing if not creative. Well, as long as they don't use LLMs to make creations, but that's an entirely different conversation. That part about lore and what I've taken with me, anything of the Dredgen Files. Nothing Ends will remain one of my favorite lore books of all time. Give it another read. The Books of Sorrow have plenty of little lessons to teach. But anyway, in the vein of creation, I tried to do so in my own way by covering other games like Remnant from the Ashes and Doom. I did something totally different and played Animal Crossing as a hope to distance my head from the usual stuff. I know that was out of left field back when I did it, but I needed it. I started a series of grimoire card readings that I hoped would revitalize what I felt was the lost lore of Destiny, and what personally inspired me to make videos in the first place. I failed in all of those avenues, both mentally and creatively. It never felt the same. For me, not connecting the dots in a universe I had fallen in love with felt empty and simply didn't hit the same at all. That's the special nature of live service or online games in general, and I don't think it's covered all that often. This constant expansion of a universe to exist and grow within. Previously, when I ran into hard times in Destiny lore and covering it, and just needed a break, I had made a couple videos on Dead Space and a couple other games. They enjoyed good success. It's not that I couldn't make content on something else, but I simply didn't feel the same. And I think anyone that's made content in some way will say if it artistically isn't fulfilling, you don't see the need to do it. That compulsion goes dormant. Well, unless you really only like to paint by algorithmic number, but I'd argue that's not creativity. No, in all actuality, Destiny hit a special chord for me. One that was very hard to try and find elsewhere for quite some time. Even today, the doubts and struggles I have mentally of making new content have obviously been with me, or I probably would have returned to making something prior to this. It's a shame that the thing I felt most influenced to make comes in the wake of Destiny's announced demise. The irony is not lost on me. And for those that may want to make the argument, this channel hasn't been monetized for years, so any ads you're seeing here were not and are not placed by me. Thanks, YouTube. Really appreciate it. My last posted video was 5 years ago, probably closer to 6, and I had completely fallen off the train because nothing felt close to the same. I rode that off-rails feeling for what felt like several months in a haze, hoping it would right itself eventually. I wrote some poetry, a couple short stories, and just messed with Photoshop and Premiere at the time, as I've changed programs since, to keep my skills up once in a while. But eventually it all felt very hollow. I'm still struggling to get back on the train after 5 years, and it's been very, very hard to do so, mostly due to practice and habit just not becoming commonplace in my daily life. They do matter, so make sure if you do write or want to, you keep writing, and read for more inspirations as well. Also, don't put your eggs into the same basket of content or one track. Look for different sources and learn other programs. I've since dropped Photoshop and Premiere, for instance, in favor of DaVinci Resolve and Audacity, both of which are different enough to screw with my brain. Anyway, that's just an aside. All of this is to say that Destiny combined a lot of my loves and allowed me to do so in a very real way, being able to produce videos that many seem to enjoy. I could write, analyze, play a game, examine that game from start to finish, put out my thoughts I had, and just do what I wanted. It was not without consequence, of course, but it felt good. I know I'm focusing a lot on myself here, and there's a reason for that. Grief is a personal journey. There are plenty of people around you that can help you through it and connect to aspects of what was lost, or what you all feel is lost. Remember good times, and so on, but ultimately, you need to make the decision to move on. You need to find other avenues to try and find other stories, to open up to those ideas and concepts, and break from a cycle of a very comfortable universe you've lived in for a long while now. And as a reminder, not everybody is going to get there at the same time, so give everybody the time they need to do that grieving. It is a personal effort. It is not something that you can drive home all at the same time. So what have I been doing otherwise? Well, the games in the background were or are other titles that have generally helped me out over the years. If you missed some of them, or you're just listening, they were Remnant from the Ashes and Chronos Before the Ashes, Elden Ring and other Souls-like titles, just especially Elden Ring. That one really just hit for me. Helldivers 2, of which I've made some of the worst mistakes in my community searching adventure on. That game and its community are just a mess right now. The newer Doom titles, while revisiting some of the older ones, several indie titles, including Valheim, Satisfactory, Slay the Spire, plenty of others. You don't realize just how many games there are out there until you start to really dig into it. And of the ones that I've messed with over the years since I've covered Destiny, save for one, none have really struck a chord with me the same that Destiny did. I think that highlights how special Destiny was for me, even if I needed to be away from it. I think that goes for many others, too. Of course, I would be entirely remiss if I didn't mention my newest obsession, one that I started heavily back in July of 2021 if I look back at the inbox messages. Warframe. Talk about setting myself up for the same pain down the road, huh? And no, this is not going to be one of those videos that tells you to go play Warframe and be happy, though you absolutely should at least try it and give it a good chance, because I think there's a lot there for Destiny lovers to enjoy. But it's not the same. And anyone that says it is just wants you to join the cult, not enjoy the game for what it is. For me, it scratches the itch of a universe I want to exist in, and it supplies that universe with more content over time. I've had the same inclination since my days of EverQuest and Final Fantasy XI, and those games that constantly evolve or present new content for us is just something I can't ever seem to shake or get away from. As I stated before, it's that special nature of always updating and evolving games. Though I think expectations have evolved to such an overwhelming degree that it's difficult for that aspect to not be taken for granted by some people, especially those with very little patience. I'm rambling a bit, my apologies. No, you're not wrong to feel as you do, to feel that one game, or at least a very large 12-year-long franchise, has suddenly been ripped away from you. Isn't painful, deeply frustrating to see it mismanaged into the dirt by suits that frankly have shown, not spoken, shown, time and time again that they didn't have a direction they wanted to go, with a series of in-studio and higher-than-Bungie decisions that culminated to one of the coolest universes in science fantasy to be axed before it could be given closure on a new set of stories it made. You're not wrong. If that last bit felt jumbled, it was, and it's to express just how much is in me, too, that's a messy clump of emotions towards multiple points of frustration. That's a very real feeling. I'm sure my personal beliefs on the game don't coincide with yours entirely, and I'm sure over the next several years we're going to hear how bad the fallout actually was from this game's history, more than likely through the additional tales from Marathon's mess and how that's going. The anger, the pain, the sorrow, confusion. While those really sound like Metal Gear Solid 3 bosses, they weren't. These are all valid reactions to this decision to close up shop on a franchise that told its player base one thing and gave it another, egging people on with hope. Be angry. Grieve. It's not only natural, but it's necessary. Eventually, you need to turn that energy elsewhere, or it will consume you in some dead-end job that doesn't care about you, that throws you out at the moment's notice because there's some new function in society or highfalutin technology. That might be a personal note, sorry. No, you need to live for yourself. You can't let corporate philosophy and other people's bullshit carry you through your thinking process the rest of your life, even though it ultimately will impact you from Destiny until the day you die. I don't think you should expect or hold on to any kind of hope that there's anything new in Destiny's future. As far as I can tell from the news surrounding it, the hope in the studio is to get a pitch out there for the franchise again. I doubt that will turn into Destiny 3, but there could be some kind of smaller, contained story about multiple periods of time through the franchise, like the faction wars or playing out the Fallen's first assaults in the last city. But I wouldn't hold my breath. Personally, I think Sony is too pissed off at Bungie to keep going with the franchise or approve another title within it, and that's a mired story for another time. That said, give it 5+ years and we'll see some kind of revival with a t-shirt and a book of memories to capitalize off your emotions like all good corporations do with your feelings and personal human moments and growth. Or I'm just too cynical. Move on from this franchise. I implore you. Keep your memories, keep your feelings, keep your emotions, and carry them elsewhere after you've given yourself enough time to grieve and think. Don't jump to something else and expect the same faint dopamine hit to fill the same gap as something that's been a close, constant companion to you every day for possibly 12 years. Break out of the comfort you've placed yourself in, or you never will. That's not fair to you and your open possibilities of experiences, nor is the idea of just get over it, because that's not fair to your time and energy that you've personally involved in the game. Don't chase the same high. It doesn't exist. Even if we see games, movies, books, and other media as similar to one another, they all have very different human elements to them that connect us to one another in very real ways. If you find something that can scratch an itch, let it work its way into you a bit. If it agrees with you, then you've found another place to play around in, even for a time. One way or another, don't let this obsession turn into the great despair. Yes, I did. When universes are closed, very seldom do new ones open. We can only discover another door to a new one. The list of experiences like Destiny are limited at this time. Don't force yourself to enjoy something just because you're looking. And don't jump to the next thing that looks like Destiny right away just because it does. Because we know that's something coming shortly from companies that know they can capitalize off the gap made in this loss. Unfortunately, the state of the world right now doesn't help the anguish that this loss is causing. And having this glimpse of entertainment taken away from you and others is also not a mentally great thing. In general, I think we all knew one day Destiny would end, and I expect the same of other live games to close up shop on new content eventually as well. But for it to end like this, I don't think anyone would have expected this so readily. It's all, in combination, painful and difficult to process. And I just need to stress that even though I have been away from the game for so long, this still hurts. I nowhere near, I am sure, the same level as you guys that are playing it daily even right now, but it hurts. Anyway, that's all I have on this. I can't think of anything more that I can express to possibly help or add to my personal experiences of moving on from the franchise. Destiny stands as a showcase of how messy game development can be, of how suits and developers seem to not be able to get out of each other's ways. We don't know, really, what happened at the studio at the end of the day, and I won't try to guess. Destiny's death was suffered by 1,000 cuts, and one failure led to another, and then another, with a story that possibly needed to round out sooner than it did, with the revolving door of writers and development staff that never seemed to approve of one thing or another, and why they didn't seem to stay around in the first place. It's a real shame. There's nothing else I can say about it. It's a loss that's simply a shame. What I will say to you personally, good luck and take care. Remember to take your time. If you have any game recommendations, leave them in the comments below for those that might be looking for something else, even just to try out for the time being, or get away from things. My personal short list might be Jump Space, though that's in active development and a long time from finished, Warframe, Final Fantasy XIV, Space Marine 2, or any other live service game. But I really would suggest to play something that can be done on its own, with Warframe being an exception since you can play through that game just about single player from the start to the end, at least for now. Baldur's Gate 3, revisit the Metro and Doom franchises, play older ones like Fear. Single player games literally abound from so many genres it isn't even funny. And summer sales should be up soon on PC with Steam, at least. And don't forget to play things that are otherwise comforting to you too. That's, again, your own personal list. I'm just making suggestions. Regardless, I hope this helped you somehow. And if it didn't, well, I tried. To my Tenno friends, see you on Tau. Ve Ra Karis. Vashtav Maralok.